Hello everyone. Hopefully you can all hear us correctly.
How's it going, everybody?
Actually, I hear an echo, so I'm just going to quickly mute that off. So, welcome to a slightly different version of the bi-weekly New World Interactive Developer live stream. As you can probably tell, if you're a regular in our live streams, a couple of things here are quite different. First of all, we are not in the studio. You may have
I'm not.
seen
I'm not Dara.
he is not Dara, indeed, and I am not Mikey. But we are not in the studio. You may have seen on the New World Twitter channels and social media that because of the ongoing situation around the world, we are all working from home as per last week. So we don't have our usual setup with the fancy camera, lights, and microphones. So do bear with us if the quality is a little bit lower than usual. We're having to deal with webcams and microphones. But as Aaron kindly pointed out, there's also a slight difference in the hosts. Mikey is very busy at the moment going through all of the feedback from a 1.6 update and working on tweaks and changes based on player feedback. And Dara, who is our normal community manager and host, is currently busy typing away on an update announcement, which we will get to later on in the stream.
She also is in chat, though. Dara is in chat, so
Excellent. She
she's
is.
technically here.
She's always in the chat,
Yeah.
multitasking as usual. So we've got a little bit of an announcement for you later on. But for those of you wondering who is actually speaking to you, we may as well do a brief introduction. My name is Johnny, or John Higgins. I'm the marketing and communications director here at New World Interactive. If you've been a follower of ours for a while, you may have seen me in the background of a couple of live streams, or if you've been to any of the events that we've been to, E3, Gamescom, PAX, you may have bumped into me. But I'm primarily a background figure, but today we wanted to do a live stream and we wanted to share some news with you, so decided to jump in and fill the void while Dara and Mikey are busy. We've also got a new guest who is on my right or left, depending on which way you're looking at the screen, which is Aaron. Aaron is a brand new hire for us. He's only been with
Yes.
the company a few days, and I've already dragged him onto a live stream.
It's
So
baptism by fire, man. It'll go fine, I'm sure.
exactly. Aaron is joining us. He's going to be a new community associate, so he's going to be working alongside Dara and Nick, our player support manager, to kind of engage with the community a lot more and gather feedback. This is an area that us as a team we've been wanting to put more emphasis on. Our goal for this year is to try and increase the frequency of our communication with you guys. You've probably noticed these live streams are coming back. We're doing more state of production posts, more community update blogs, and Aaron is going to really help us with that to be more present on the forums, more present online, and sharing more of what the team is doing. So I guess Aaron, why don't you give yourself a little bit of a background and introduction to the viewers?
All right. My name's Aaron. I mean, that's pretty much covered by John. My main goal here is to take some of the pressure off of Dara. I'm going to be really highlighting any concerns that you as a community have. We're going to try and increase transparency between the development side and all of you. We know that there can be, lack of communication sometimes and a breakdown in communication. I think that's more due to there just weren't enough people. So I've been hired to kind of help with that. And I'm going to make sure that everyone watching today and everyone playing, posting in the Steam forums, posting on Reddit, I'm going to make sure that that information gets to the devs and we can work stuff out and go from there.
Excellent. Yeah, as we said, this is increasing our communication capacity and more transparency with our players is a really high priority for us. So we want to be more visible and we want to share more of what our team is doing with you. You may also notice that if you're a regular of the live stream, that we have streamed 2 weeks back to back, which is not normal for us. We normally stream every other Wednesday or every second Wednesday. But because of various ongoing events in the community and with the game, we really wanted to take this opportunity to do a more impromptu live stream and share what we've been up to. If you do want to be notified of when we stream outside of our scheduled streams, do make sure you follow the Twitch channel. It should just be above. If you're also watching this on the replay for on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And anytime that we go live, you'll be notified and you can hop in on the chat.
And hit the
So
little bell at the top here so you're getting notifications. You don't want to miss this stuff, right?
there we go. He's sounding like a true YouTuber.
Do you have Twitch
Smash
Prime?
the
Does
like
anybody have
button.
Twitch Prime in the chat?
I don't believe we do. I don't think we've got subscriptions enabled on this channel, but
Fair enough.
it's definitely the way to go. I see the chat. Yes, hit like and subscribe. Smash the like button. So, without further ado, we mentioned earlier on that we've got a bit of an announcement for you, and we're going to share that first here before it gets posted publicly tomorrow. As a lot of people on the forums have been asking, we've done a big update last week, and usually there's a sale or some kind of promotion that goes on following a update. Now that we've had a chance to kind of go through some of the feedback and really polish out the bugs, we're excited to announce that as of tomorrow, there's going to be a free week on Insurgency. It's going to last for the entire week, Thursday through until Wednesday. It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is 10 a.m. Mountain time. Trying to work out what the conversion is in Europe. But it's now is a great time to get any of your friends or family or relatives who have not tried the game. Now is a great time to drag them in, see what we've done over the last couple of months, all the new content we've added, the new map power plant, which you can see in the background here, the new weapons and new cosmetics. There's a whole bunch of new content here, as well as performance and optimization improvements that we've been gradually working on and will continue to work on for the rest of the year. So if you've got any friends out there who need to play this game, let them know. As of tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, the game is going to be free to play all week. We'll see lots of people on the servers. Us as developers will be trying to hop in as much as possible to play with you guys. And yeah, if you're like us and you're at home on lockdown, now is a better time than ever to dive in and play some Sandstorm. Sounds like a lot of people are excited about that in the chat.
It's a good time to have this free week because, like you said, everyone's stuck inside anyways. May as well dig into a new game that you wanted to try or get your friends in there. So it's a good time for free week.
Absolutely. And along with the free week, the game will also be 50% off on Steam. So,
What?
exactly. A great price.
Holy
$15.
shit!
My God.
Incredible.
You can maybe get about two beers in Calgary with that amount of money. So, Johnny kills me in game all the time. I definitely do not. So, we're going to be 50% off on Steam for the duration of the free week. That's the lowest discount I think we've ever done on Steam. So, fantastic price. There's also going to be a double XP event running throughout the entirety of the free week. So, if you're a new player or you want a friend or a buddy to join the game, catch you up, get some ranks on them, get some cosmetics. Now is a really great time to encourage people to play the game. We're also going to be having a bunch of marketing beats and pushes during this free week. You'll probably notice on Twitch this weekend and going into early next week a couple of large Twitch streamers and YouTubers playing the game for the first time. We will, as well as some familiar faces who you've probably seen before. You'll probably notice ads going up online as well for a free week. So feel free to spread the word. We get a lot of people asking us how they, as a player, can support the company and support the game. The biggest thing that you can do for us is spread the word, tell people why you enjoy Sandstorm so much and why they should give it a go. And now is the prime opportunity to do so. So, with that announcement out of the way, Daryl will be making a Steam post tomorrow. It'll also go live on all of the major news outlets. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to take some questions from the chat. Aaron is going to be moderating the chat and reading through it because I only have one monitor at my home setup, so I can't really monitor the chat and
You're
look at
filthy
OBS
casual,
at the
Johnny.
same
Filthy
time.
casual.
Unfortunately, it's what I got to deal with this working from home situation. But
Yep.
in terms of the questions, I would say that I am not a designer. So if you have specific questions that relate to gameplay, design, specific weapons, or anything like that, I would hold those questions back for 2 weeks' time when Mikey and Dara return. We'll be able to give you a lot more information on the exact details of what we plan to do in the future. However, we've got two very different perspectives here from the community as well as marketing and business side of the company. So if you have any questions in terms of general content, the outlook and what our priorities are for this year, what kind of high level features you might expect to see, or any questions about New Worlds, ourselves, or anything like that, feel free to ask us. Aaron is going to be reading through the chat and trying to highlight some of the more popular questions. Please try and keep them brief and to one question per message. We will try and get through as many as possible, but with with 60 or so people in the chat, it does move quite quickly, and sometimes we may miss them. So be patient. Feel free to post it again if it gets missed, but don't spam the chat too much.
One thing, John. Did you still want to talk a little bit about what we have coming up?
Of course, actually, that's a great point to start. So while you're getting some questions from the chat,
Yep.
I'll go and show a little bit about what we've been working on. So last week we released the 1.6 power plant update, which had the new map, two new weapons, a whole bunch of new cosmetics for the game. It added four new domination layouts to the game, as well as mod support. Mod support has been a huge community request for a long time, as well as is a huge integral part of us as a company. So the mod tools are now public. You can also download and install mods on game, as well as via the mod.io website. We've already seen some really cool custom content. I noticed Tom Bass was in the chat earlier. Hopefully, I'm saying your name correctly. And he's been making a really cool custom map. And a few days ago, I hopped into a community server and played a cool custom map called Wolfland, which is set in a forest, very foggy, and it was really cool to hop in and play that. So do keep an eye on community content. It's slowly rolling out as people get accustomed to the tools and play them. And it's something that we actually want to highlight on streams going forward, as well as through our official social media channels and play with the dev events. We'd love to get a bunch of the community together to play through some unique custom maps, as well as, of course, all the official content that we'll be putting out through the rest of the year. So, in regards to that, obviously the free week is starting tomorrow for those of you who missed our earlier announcement. But we also have now started trying to plan out what we're going to do for the 1.7 release planned in the summer. A lot of people have been requesting it, and happy to say for sure that night maps are the top priority for the next update. The whole update is going to be themed around Nightfall, which was one of the most popular updates for the original Insurgency. If you were a player probably 3-4 years ago now, there's going to be a whole bunch of content coming with this summer content update. Again, it will be a free content update like always. We have night maps. We also have some new weapons coming in. Can't say exactly what they are yet, but think about kind of sneaky, silent weapons, perhaps integrally suppressed weapons. And we want to build a
Commonly
whole.
referenced weapons as well.
Oh, exactly. Some of the people in the chat are going to be very happy. It's at least one of them is a very popular community request. So I see some great answers
There's some
in the
guesses in there.
chat.
There's definitely some
There
guesses in
are.
there, but
My
we ain't
lips
saying
are
anything.
sealed.
Yeah.
I can't say anything yet, but that will be coming to you around about the summer update. We don't have a date for that yet, um, but it's something to look forward to. So if you are uh, trying to play the game for the first time during a free week or convincing your friends to give the game a download, not only do we have the cool content that released just last week, as well as a hotfix we rolled out about an hour ago to address some of the issues that snuck through and the players have reported. But we also do have a lot of more content to roll out through the rest of the year. The next one being in summer, and likely another update again in autumn and winter. So that's our kind of update schedule. We've got a lot planned for this year and into the future. But it's a great time to get in the game, get it at a half price, and get in early as we keep improving the game. I notice as well a couple of people talking about console beta. We primarily want to keep the stream focused around the PC content because that's what is out at the moment. However, you may have seen that yesterday the pre-orders for Insurgency Sandstorm digitally on Xbox have gone live. You can find it on the Microsoft Store and the Xbox homepage. You can pre-order right now on Xbox. There will also be in the next few weeks, I can't say for sure because there's obviously a lot of things going on right now in the world with various partners and people being unavailable or working from home. But we will also shortly be releasing for PlayStation pre-orders as well as retail pre-orders. So if you're the kind of person who wants a retail physical copy of the game, keep your eyes peeled for that shortly. It will be available in some territories and some retailers. Uh, I
It's
can't
all
be
super
sure
vague right now, in case you can't tell.
exactly. There's a lot of things going on, especially with retail shops either being closed temporarily or not necessarily accepting orders right now. So we will keep you up to date on how that goes. But definitely, digital pre-orders will be out very soon. Sony PlayStation will be hopefully in the coming weeks as well as retail. So be sure to follow us on our live streams as well as social media at Insurgency Game. We'll update you guys as soon as possible. And once a game is available to pre order on consoles across all platforms, that's when we'll do a proper formal announcement with a pre order trailer, a lot more details about exactly what is going to be in the console version of the game, and we'll make a big push to talk about that. Right now, we're just kind of informally letting our community know because only the Microsoft pre-orders are open at this time. But others will be coming very soon. We will have a lot to share. If you do pre-order, I see a few people in the chat asking about this. Pre-ordering will get you early access to the beta of the game, or beta if you are from North America. And I know people always take the piss out of my
What the hell's a
pronunciation of it.
beta?
Exactly. What am I talking about? It There will be a beta for the game shortly before it launches in August 25th, which is our current release date. Uh,
And
and
that's the current release date for PS4 and Xbox, correct?
Indeed, for both
Okay.
consoles, it will be dropping on both of them at exactly the same time on August 25th. There will be a beta beforehand for people who pre-ordered the game. You'll get early access to that beta, and there will also be a shorter public beta just before launch. We are also going to be doing a first closed beta of the game in the coming month or few weeks. Again, things are still to be determined, but this will be a small scale, uh, almost technical beta to check for stability and early player feedback. It will be under NDA, and uh, we have not yet disclosed how many people will be invited to it or the process for applying. That will be handled through our publisher, Focus Home Interactive. So keep an eye on the official Insurgency Game accounts as well as the Focus Home pages if you do want to get involved in that. It will be a limited number of people and it will be under non-disclosure agreement. But it's really important for us that we use these opportunities to test the game and gather feedback. I see a lot of people asking about specific console features, whether that be uh, how the controller feels,
I
what
mean,
game modes
sorry
will
to
be,
interrupt, John.
player
If you
counts.
if you just want to give like a blanket statement, like frame rate on console, beta date, aim assist, hardcore mode on console, pretty much anything in console, we can't give you specific answers today. Sadly, everything's still in development, and we're working out concrete dates. So, as much as we
Exactly.
want to tell you everything, like I would love to tell you everything that I know, we just can't quite yet. So, as far as beta goes, and as far as console release goes, we don't have public information quite yet.
Yep, that's is a great answer, Aaron. Basically, if you're asking about any kind of specific details, there's still a long way to go between now and August. Obviously, there's about 5 months of work where our team and our partners at Black Tower, who are handling the console port, as well as our publisher, will be finalizing all of these details. So we can't tell you for sure what the frame rate's going to be, any kind of exact functionalities and features. They all need to be tested first. Our goal, obviously, is to get the game running at as high a frame rate as possible. We want to deliver the best quality experience to all of our players. We're super excited that this is our team have been making PC games for almost 10 years now. We're really excited to come to console. We think there's a huge audience out there, and we know from the messaging that we've received over the years about people really wanting to be able to play an insurgency game on console, that there's a huge amount of people out there really seeking for a tactical shooter out there. We want the game to be as close to the PC version as possible in terms of content, gameplay, features, everything like that, and we want it to be running as well as physically possible. We'll give a lot more details after we've done testing, both internally and with the community, and as we get closer to the actual release date. More things will be finalized, more things will be clarified, and we'll talk specifically about that. We'll probably do a console state of production or live stream dedicated to that topic when we have the information to share. So, um, moving on from that, I see a few people asking what the announcement was. So, in case you're joining us slightly late, as of tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain Time or 9 a.m. Pacific Time, Insurgency Sandstorm will be free to play for an entire week on Steam. There'll be a double XP event for that entire duration, as well as a 50% discount. So if, like us, you are trapped at home currently and you're looking for a new game to play, or you're an existing Sandstorm player and really want to encourage your friends to try the game, there's never been a better time to do so and try out all of the new content that we added with last week's power plant update.
All right.
So
Do you want to
I
dig
think we
into
should
some
take
questions there,
some
John?
questions from the community. I know Aaron has also been taking a look on the Steam forums.
Oh,
So
I've seen every post. Every post that you think that we don't see, we're looking. I've read them all now.
exactly. We're trying to spend as much time as possible on the forums, really looking for feedback and trying to engage as much as possible. It is not possible for us to get to every single thread or
Of
respond
course,
to
yeah.
every single feature request, but especially with Aaron now joining us and helping out Dara in this capacity, we should be able to be a lot more active. So I think there was a couple of topics that you saw, Aaron, as a fresh pair of
Oh, yeah.
eyes and a new person to the company that we may want to touch on just because we know they're hot points for the community. And
Yep.
then we'll also go into some live Q&A from the community.
Yep. All right. So, first and foremost, John, what is the current situation with the death cam, the oh so controversial death cam?
Yes, so we've obviously been seeing all of the response from players on the Steam forums. We know that there's a quite vocal community out there who are not happy with the current implementation of the DevCam. And in fact, there's a relatively large thread on Steam. However, that does still make up a relatively small percentage of our overall community. So I think it's important to say that we do look at player feedback. We read and monitor everything. However, we have lots of different sources for information, be that Steam forums, our Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, community posts, community testing, official focus forums, Steam reviews. There's probably many that I'm missing. I'm already running out of fingers. We try and look at a broad base of feedback across the community, and it's important for us to kind of state what our goals are with this implementation. It was We noticed a lot when we looked at our in-game metrics and as well as player feedback in terms of reviews and refund rates that a lot of new players to the game were getting incredibly frustrated because of the high learning curve in the game.
And I can
And
speak to that too, Johnny. Like, I picked up the game a week before I got the job, so I've been playing for about 2.5 weeks. I've got 15 hours in the game, but those first, 3, 4, 5 hours, when I was getting one tapped from God knows where, it was really frustrating. You know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to learn the game, it's got a really high skill ceiling. Um, so I think for new players, the death cam can be very good. And we have definitely read the input in the forums of maybe there's a compromise in the middle of we allow the death cam to a certain rank, to a certain level, and then disable it. But I'll let Johnny speak to more specifics as far as all that goes.
for sure, as Alan said, like we it was there was a huge amount of data to us suggesting that there's for new players, the initial few hours of gameplay are very key, and it's something that we'll see throughout this free week. We'll probably have hundreds of thousands of new players throughout the week coming in, and our goal as a company and also as a community is to grow the game's popularity and have more people actively playing the game. So what we want to do is to make sure that when new people do try out the game for the first time, that they have a positive first time experience. And there's numerous factors that we're doing across the board, both in this last update as well as coming in future updates to try and improve that first time player experience. We're going to be making modifications to the tutorial, for an example, to help make sure that more people are playing the tutorial, they're completing it, and when they do finish, they know what the game is and how to play the game. We're trying to make the UI more friendly for first time players and getting a lot of feedback on that. The def cam was something that was actually requested by a lot of players, and so far in our internal testing and across our metrics, we have seen that it has had a positive impact to new players and general players across the board. We do know that there's a small subset of the community who dislike this, and so we have enabled the option to disable it in your in-game settings. You can, if you feel it ruins the immersion of the game, you can go into your in-game settings and disable it. Also, if you are playing on the hardcore versions of any of the game modes or the competitive versions of game modes, it is completely off. You will not see it in the hardcore versions if that's the style that you want to play. However, for our more standard and more casual versions of the game, it is enabled by default. It's important to say as well that this is still a work in progress for us. We are listening to the community and we are listening to player feedback. The 1.6 update has only been out for less than a week, and we haven't yet had a chance to see this huge influx of new players that we're expecting with a free week. So during this time, we're going to be monitoring it. We're going to be seeing what the feedback is, both from our hardcore players, our more casual day-to-day players, as well as new players. Gather the feedback across the board and see if, in its current iteration, it is a good fit, or if there's any things that we can do to change, tweak, or adjust it. It's important to say that the DefCam is probably not going to go away. It is the overwhelming feedback we have got is that it is a positive impact for the game and for new players, but we are looking at potentially iterating on it and improving on it to find that happy balance between people who want a very hardcore immersive game and people who want the game to be more popular and more accessible to new players. So, as Aaron said, in the thread on Steam, as much as a lot of people almost shouting about it or being angry about it, there are some very good pieces of feedback, and this is something we want to encourage people to do: is saying XYZ or this feature is terrible doesn't really help us as developers. It just shows us that you are upset or angry about a certain change. What's
Which
more
inherently, it's
valuable?
fine to be upset or angry. We're not
Exactly, and
saying don't be pissed off. That's totally fine.
you are welcome to have your opinion, and making your opinion known is definitely important for us as a team. So we can then communicate that with our designers and say, people really didn't like this change. Maybe we should consider tweaking it or rolling it back. But that kind of feedback is not super beneficial. There is some great feedback in that thread, and it's something that we would like to encourage people on Steam and Reddit, Discord, etc. to do is try and be a little bit more constructive about the feedback. If there's a feature that you do not like, or that you would really like to see, or think you could be improved, it's very important that you tell us why. Why do you not like it? Why do you think it has a negative benefit? Why should a feature be added? And overall, make suggestions for ways in which we can improve. It's a lot easier for us as a team to respond to those kind of feedback than it is to respond to um, very blunt, short feedback or this game sucks. Similarly, we see a lot of people saying things on the Steam forums, such as, or in general, in terms of player feedback, we'll see posts saying, my game crashes, but it won't specify to us which of our multiple games is crashing. Is it the original Insurgency? Is it Day of Infamy? Is it Sandstorm? It doesn't necessarily tell us when the game is crashing. Is it all the time? Is it on startup? Is it after 5 minutes? Is it only on a certain game mode? The more information that the players and community can give us, the more it makes that feedback actionable for our team. So this is something that, especially with Aaron joining and being very involved in this, is we really want to ask the community to, when you are giving feedback or requesting features from us, try and think through it very carefully and try give us a very detailed description of your feedback and how we can act upon that. So we are always open to feedback. We are always continually iterating and improving upon the game. We plan to do that continuously with all of our updates. So player feedback is definitely important, but we do need to make sure that we prioritize feedback. Um, Items that or issues that are affecting a larger group of players or have a more game breaking impact are obviously a higher priority for us as a small team. So if we see a lot of people are having the game crash, or I'm trying to think of other instances, those are much more high priority than this gun doesn't have a latch on the left hand side or something like that. So there's for us, it's all about prioritization based on the number of people who are requesting that feedback, as well as how impactful that feedback is, and how what priority it is in terms of being addressed. We only have a small team here. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but there are only so many hours in the day, and with hundreds of thousands of people playing every single month, we get a lot of feedback, and we need to make sure that what we are focusing on benefits the greatest amount of players and the broader community as a whole. So I think I've rambled on about that for quite a
I,
lot
I think you've
time.
covered how people
So
should give feedback. I think they're
exactly.
they're pretty clear on that now.
Cool. So, any other questions, Aaron, either from the chat or
Yeah,
from our tweet earlier?
yep, there are quite a few. So the smoke, the issues with smoke from underbarrel launchers and from smoke grenades. Do you want to speak on that or?
Sure. That is a known issue. We have raised it with our team internally. We are aware of it. We are trying to replicate it on our end and trying to find out exactly what change had this effect. It seems to be that it is not necessarily consistent. It's not happening all the time, which does make it a harder issue to track down. But Tim, our producer, is more than aware of this issue. Our code team, as well as QA, are looking into it. Unfortunately, it didn't make it in for today's hotfix that we just rolled out an hour or so ago. We did want to try and fix as many of the things that slip through the cracks as possible with that one. However, as soon as we do get a fix, we will make sure that it is prioritized and rolled out as soon as possible. We are aware of it, we are actively working on it, and this again is an example of something that is a relatively small issue, but it affects a lot of gameplay. It's not fun to have your smoke grenade disappear and suddenly
Kind of
your
defeats
cover
the
is
purpose
gone.
of a smoke grenade, really.
Exactly, and especially when we
Not
want people
overly
to play more
effective.
tactically and use grenades, use cover. This is absolutely a priority for our team, and we are investigating it as quickly as we can. If you do have
Perfect.
more information on this, again, go to the Steam forums. First of all, search, see if there's already a thread about it. I'm pretty
There
sure
is. There
there's
are many
ongoing
threads about it.
discussions.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Find one of them.
try give us as much information as possible. Does it happen every single map? Is it only on community servers, only on official servers? Does it happen only after you've equipped a certain item? The more information we have, the easier it is for our team to narrow down exactly the root cause of this. So, again, the more help from the community, the
Awesome.
better, but we are on it. We're on the case.
All right. Next, what I've seen spoken about a lot is a few of our textures. The resolution was reduced a bit, so we're seeing a lot of talk about downgrade in visual fidelity.
Yes, so as part of the 1.6 patch, I believe it was mentioned in the patch notes, we did focus on optimization. This is one of the top bits of feedback we get from the community, is especially people who have systems that are closer to our minimum spec. They really want the game to perform better, not necessarily in terms of the overall FPS of the game, but more consistency in the experience that we are given. So uh, this has been a very high priority for us as a team. The What we have done is we did every single night after the team goes home. There's a couple of PCs in the office which are used for testing. They're set up with our minimum spec as defined on the Steam store page, and every night I think about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning they spin up, they load up all the maps in the game, and they basically just cycle through game after game after game after game, doing a fly through on these maps and with the latest development build that we have been working on that day. And when our team comes back in the morning after waking up, we have a nice report that gets emailed to us from the server, which says last night we ran X amount of tests, and we found that the average FPS was this amount on this build. It also gives us a lot of other additional information such as memory usage, frame time. I'm trying to remember all the other features. It's a really detailed report, and it allows our code team to look at the latest version that we are on as a team, and whether there have been any improvements or in some cases decreases in the benchmark results for our min spec. One of the things that we found when we were doing this test is that even when we tested on a completely empty map with no action happening, no players spawning in, no explosions going off, no fire support, all of these kind of things, that the maps themselves had quite a lot of variance in the frames that were being obtained on our lower spec machines. And this is generally, again, I am not a programmer or a UE4 expert, so here's my caveat. I'm sure one of our programmers will probably be in the chat saying that I butchered this explanation. But we noticed that there's a lot of variance in the frame times of certain areas of the maps. Certain areas that perhaps had a lot of props, a lot of foliage, a lot of resource intensive um, uh, things on the screen at the time were causing people who had lower end machines to really struggle and stall. So what we did as a team was we looked at this and we found that some of our assets were very high texture, very high resolution, and this is not necessarily required for gameplay. So, um, for example, we may have a tree and it's very detailed. You can look at all the leaves, all the details. But in reality, most of the time, when you're getting shot at, if you're trying to count the petals on a leaf, you are, or on a flower, you probably are going to die, to put it bluntly. So what we try to do is we try to reduce the uh, overall texture sizes, as well as some of the props that were super high quality that had a lot of triangles, a lot of polygons. So we tried to reduce this down to a point where on our low end and our minimum recommended machine, that the the game and the map itself, from an art perspective and a level design perspective, performed more uniformly, regardless of where you were in the map and what you were looking at. This is super important, um, but we are aware that some people, especially if you do look at it before and after, there may be some cases where this optimization was done too aggressively, and we're definitely open to revisiting that. If there are certain things that now do not perhaps look as good,
And I'm
maybe
just
we can
John, sorry
consider.
to interrupt. I'm just going to jump in there. And we do also see the feedback about a possible high res texture pack as well. Like we're seeing everything you guys say about it, but the TLDR is for lower end spec computers. We just wanted to try and optimize for them. So
Absolutely. I mean, on our Steam store page, we have our minimum spec, and that is, there are industry benchmarks for and standards for what minimum spec should be defined as. And at launch, we were hitting those with our min spec, but we do want to reduce our min spec so that more people can play the game. We get a lot of feedback, especially from people who are have slightly older graphics cards or less RAM in their system, or people on laptops, for example, who do struggle with this. And loading lots of high resolution textures is a big draw on a lot of those resources. We do as well receive a feedback from the community. So there's probably a lot of cases where you may want the high resolution detailed textures if you're taking screenshots or if you're trying to record a YouTube video or a replay. So this is something that we're going to be raising with our team. Say we have seen performance gains by this change that was made. However, there may be some instances where perhaps our optimization efforts from the art side were too strong, and we will try and address them where possible. So again, bear with us. We're going to keep making changes. If there's examples of things that you think are significantly reduced, do share them with us. We can
it
bring them
seems
up
to
with
be
the team.
the fire extinguisher has been the most commonly referred to asset. So
Absolutely.
got it. We'll fix the fire extinguisher first.
So it's also one of the things that you will probably have noticed is, although our minimum spec is performing a lot better now because of this, people who have high-end machines may not notice this as much. But if you're playing on our recommended or minimum spec, or on a more low-powered machine, you will notice a significant difference. It also means that the overall size of Sandstorm, the space it takes up on your hard drive, is reduced. I think if I'm trying to remember what it was off the top of my head. I think we went from sort of 40 gigabytes down to something like 30 gigabytes. Again, don't quote me on this, but that means for people who want to have lots of games installed on their PC or have limited hard drive space, or even if you're just downloading an update, smaller file sizes means that it can be downloaded quicker and also loaded into your computer's memory more efficiently. So uh, that was our reason and our logic behind it. Again, we do our overnight benchmarking tests every single night, and we are monitoring and tracking this. Um, but if there are examples that players feel need to be addressed, make us aware of them. We'll raise it with the art team and see if that can be resolved for you. We
All
will
right.
also bring up the option of a high resolution texture pack. If you have a beefy machine, you don't mind having the extra files on your PC, and you want to run it in epic or ultra graphics mode, I'm sure that's something we can be made available. We just need to check on the technical aspect of how that would be handled.
Yeah, sadly, a lot of the stuff, as I'm sure you all know, it's not just a check mark, not just a checkbox in the code that we press. Like if we decide to do something like high res text pack, that takes away time from other stuff that we want to work on for all of you. Like that reduces time for creating new maps and bringing new weapons. So it's also a balance for us of necessary versus features that we want to bring to the community.
Cool. Any more questions from the community, Aaron?
Yeah, yeah. If we want to stick to art for a minute, what is going on, if anything, with the extremely long extended magazines, the comically large
Yes,
magazines?
so I believe this may have actually been answered on our previous live stream last week by Mikey. Um, One of the things that, from a gameplay perspective, when we were designing the game, we wanted it to be visible to the player what attachments an opponent was using. So, if you were looking at an enemy, you could see that they had a suppressor, you could see they had extended mags, you could see what scope there was on that weapon. And in some cases, it may have been slightly exaggerated compared to the actual real
A
life
little bit.
size of things, but that was done for a gameplay reason. However, I believe Mikey was talking about this last live stream, and we do realize that, hey, some of them perhaps do look a little bit too big for realistic sizes, and it is something that our team are looking on for the next update, is to spend some time resizing these, putting them into game again on our community test environment, or during our weekly community tests that we do, to make sure that we can scale these more appropriately, but without necessarily making it hard to read from a distance what attachments a opponent is using.
Fair enough. Did you have anything you wanted to speak to about the vehicle removal at all? Because we're seeing that often is people miss the technical a lot.
Yeah, so vehicles for us as a team have always been slightly problematic, I would say. Vehicle physics code and networking is a very challenging topic. If you read any kind of game development forums or even look at other games out there, vehicle physics are commonly a bit of a nightmare. And we had a lot of instances where vehicles were doing very weird behaviors. If you stood on the back of a truck, it would shoot you up into the air, miles into the air, and the world would be a tiny little dot down below you. We had vehicles constantly barrel rolling around the maps. Lots of different things, which I see a far cry away in the chat says, I loved that. There are
It's fun
some
to watch.
there
It
are
ruins
some
the immersion
quite
a bit, though.
humorous bugs and issues with vehicles, specifically when it came to AI controlled vehicles, which again is a lot more complex than yeah, player controlled vehicle. So our team kind of got to a stage where we felt that this wasn't really the quality bar and the expectation that we wanted to put out to people. If you're a first time player coming into a game and you're really into this immersive, hardcore tactical game, and you suddenly see a truck flying across the sky, it kind of takes you out of the zone a little bit. So what we've done is we have removed the AI controlled vehicles from the co-op version. You'll also notice that vehicles in general have become less important in the game over time because of these issues that we um, have been trying consistently to resolve, but they are still very present. We would rather have a very solid uh, close quarters sort of player versus player experience than have a very glitchy or buggy vehicle system. So for time being, we've taken them out so that we're putting forward the quality bar that we expect, and basing the game around uh, player versus player close quarters combat. And if in the future we have time to revisit vehicle AI or vehicle physics, then we can perhaps bring these back. But for us, it's very important that we put out a high quality, consistent product to our community, and try and resolve or mitigate as many bugs and issues as possible. Um,
All right, perfect. I've got a question from Dutch X Arms in the chat that I've seen a few times as well.
yep.
It's asking why there's no message of the day or type of welcome message that community or custom servers can add to kind of just explain the rules and all of that when players hop in.
So, in terms of community servers, I know you can have admin chat pop up to welcome people when they join the server. Again, a few days ago when I was playing Wolfland I'm trying to remember the name of the community. They run quite a few servers, and they had it that when you joined the game, a message would pop up in the chat which said, "Admin, welcome to the server. Here are our rules." And this server that I was playing on actually was enforcing a rule where you had to check with your team before you moved on to an objective so that players kind of stuck together and played more tactically. So that option is available via the server admin guide. Take a look at it. I believe it's on mod.io for that, and it's certainly available. And I'm I'm not 100% sure, but I believe there are also third-party plugins for servers, for Unreal Engine servers, a bit like there was the source mod and source admin plugins on the previous versions of the game. We are aware that some people do want a message of a day to pop up. So when you first load in on the loading screen, it will display information about the server rules. Uh, that is actually in our roadmap for later on in the year. Just right now, we are trying to focus on the more game breaking and more prevalent issues. So trying to resolve things like crashes, performance issues, as well as adding in new content that are enjoyed by a huge cross section of the players. So message of the day, it is planned. It is just on our very long to-do list, and we will try to get it done as soon as possible.
Awesome. All right, that's kind of winding down for questions here. We've got time for one or two more if anyone in the chat has any more.
Sure.
One other little thing that I had seen, so I just got to find it now
We wanted
as well,
this
of
live
course.
stream to be kind of brief.
Yeah.
As we said, we live streamed last week with Dara and Mikey, but we did want to just take an opportunity to come and speak to you guys again today, and tell you about the free week which is happening tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Mountain time. Sandstorm will be free for everyone to play on Steam for 7 days, Thursday through until late on Wednesday. It'll also be 50% off during this time. It's the lowest discount we've ever done on Steam, and there'll be a double XP boost. So if you're looking to try the new power plant update, if you've got buddies that you've been really trying to convince to give the game a go for a long time, or you're a new player looking for something a bit different, perhaps even stuck here in lockdown, working from home, not at school, etc. It's a really great time to try the game and really try see that as much as possible. So I think we'll take maybe two, three more questions for the chat, and then I think we'll wrap this live stream up so we can get back to working on the game and getting ready for
Yeah, we should
tomorrow,
do what
which will
we're
be
paid here to
a
do.
very busy day for us, I am sure.
Yes,
But we're
it
really
may
looking
be
forward
a
to it.
bit chaotic.
We love doing 3 weeks. It's great to get new players into the game, really reach out to new audiences and build up the community, which is our overall goal. We want Sandstorm to become a very popular shooter and played on the market. We want to have lots of players in game. That's obviously the reason why we make games. So these free weekends and sales which we normally do to coincide with major updates are super important for us and super useful.
All right, here's a good one. With the new added mod and map tools, in the future, will we ever talk about possibly adding favorite community maps right into the game for limited time playlists or anything like that?
For sure. So this is something that we have done in the past. If you are a player of the original Insurgency or for Day of Infamy, you'll know that in the past we have done mapping competitions. In fact, that was how I got my role here at New World Interactive. Previously, I was working for a chain of modding websites where we
I did not
organized
know that.
one of these contests. It's also how a lot of our team actually got hired. We hired Brian, one of our level designers from the community, Steve C, another level designer we hired again internally from the community. Um, I believe there's a couple other members of staff who we hired. We are more than open to the idea of community maps being put into game officially, alongside the content that our team will be working on throughout the rest of the year and into the future. So as long as the maps kind of reach our quality bar, we will be monitoring these. We'll be monitoring what maps are being the most downloaded, have the most positive community sentiment. We're also quite actively engaging with people in the modding Discord and the modding section of Steam forums. So high on your orders, that Dara. We really want to. I keep getting distracted by messages that pop up. We we really want to embrace modders. This is how our company got our start. We were all enthusiasts and hobbyists creating mods for various games, and we were fortunate enough to turn this into a career for us. And we want to extend that opportunity to as many people from our community to the extent of which they would like to do that. So, if there are highly popular maps that have been downloaded a lot, have very high reviews, and we see as having potential for being official content, we will absolutely be reaching out to those individuals in the future. We will probably want to do a quality pass on our end so that our team of professional level designers can do a pass through and make a few tweaks to ensure that the game is, the maps are as optimized as possible and as fairly balanced. We have a lot of expertise and history with this, so we'll be reaching out to people there, and if there's popular maps, we will offer to buy the content off of creators or find some other kind of compensation or agreement and put these into game officially. It will take some time to do that. Obviously, tools have only kind of just gone out publicly a week ago, and maps and levels do take a long time. It takes our team anywhere between 2.5 to 5 months to make a map. So to get it from initial concept and block out through to what you see polished in game. It takes a lot of optimization, a lot of iteration on design, flow, balance, as well as quality assurance to make sure there's no exploits and glitches. So I would imagine towards the end of the year, once more maps have been out there, once they've been downloaded and people have had time to get familiar with the tool, we will absolutely be reaching out to people, and we are potentially looking at doing more kind of mapping contests or other kind of community-sponsored events to create user-generated content that complements and is additional to all the free content that our team will be putting out throughout the year.
Awesome. All right. I think for the final question, we should give it to Gwyn, who puts in countless hours for us in the community. And she's asked a few times today, what can we talk about as far as the cosmetic packs that we revealed for the console pre-orders? Is there any word of them coming to PC?
Sure. So if people who did not see earlier on in the stream, I believe yesterday it was that the Xbox digital pre-orders for Insurgency Sandstorm went live. We are still working on getting the PlayStation digital pre-orders as well as the retail pre-orders for Sandstorm on console to go live. There's a lot of things happening in the world at the moment, and so there's a few
It's a bit
delays
chaotic, isn't it? It's a bit
being
crazy.
available. The game will be available on all platforms. It is absolutely not a Xbox exclusive or digital only. There are more buying purchase options coming, and we will communicate those and do a big push with pre-order trailers, announcements, etc., and full details of that in the coming weeks once they're available. In terms of the pre-order cosmetics on on Xbox. They will be available to all console players who pre-order. It'll be done in a very similar manner to the pre-order cosmetic that was given away for PC players. Um, it will be we our team were almost unsure if we wanted to do pre-order cosmetics when we were about to launch Sandstorm on PC. A lot of people internally felt that all of the cosmetics should be available to unlock for any player, regardless of when they became part of the New World community. And so having an item that was only available to a certain group of people kind of went against some of the kind of mindset and philosophies that our design team had at the time. But we did the pre-order cosmetic on PC, and players really loved it. Everyone seems to be really enjoying the Bug Hunter tattoo that was awarded to people who played during the beta. And when it came to have a chance to do this again, our team really wanted to offer something unique and special to people who have been, admittedly waiting for quite a long time on console for the game to come here. And we wanted to reward those people who pre-order and support us early on. So we've made two cool cosmetic skin packs for the console version. Right now, they are exclusive to the console version of the game. Uh, it may come to PC in the future. We haven't made any kind of decisions on that yet. We're kind of really waiting to see how people react to it, how many, how players want them, and if there's sufficient demand, we may make these available on PC. How or when or if that will happen is still totally to be confirmed. Right now, this is an incentive for those console players out there who've been waiting a really long time for this game and really want to support us early on.
Because if we're being honest, like I really like I'm a PC player. I really want that gold AK on PC, so I'm pulling for the PC community on this one.
Yep, and we recognize that people on if consoles have different cosmetics to PC players, then there'll be people on both sides who want access to the content that other platforms have. So our goal is to try and create content which is as similar as possible. But especially on the console market, it is very important to have these kind of pre-order incentives. They're very highly recommended both by Sony and by Microsoft, and are almost considered sort of standard practice when you're pre-ordering a console game over a PC game. So we're uh, we see your feedback that hey, you'd love to have these. Or some people say, hey, no, I really don't want these. So we're monitoring this feedback. We're seeing how it evolves, and we'll talk more about that in the future. Right now, though, the only way to get hold of them is to pre-order on consoles. Xbox is live right now for pre-orders on digital, and PlayStation as well as retail copies will be coming very soon, and we'll talk more about things then.
Fantastic. All right. That's pretty much it for
Yeah,
questions, I
I
think,
mean, I
John.
think
If
there's
there's
another question from Tom. He said he's very interested to see how they actually look in game, and that's a very good thing to point out. Right now, what is on the store page are concept arts and mock-ups of the items. So again, we'll show more kind of in-game stuff as we progress closer with console, and people can make up their mind as to whether they would like these skin sets and cosmetics. Uh, yeah, very similar to the concept art that you see on the background here of Power Plant with the two posed characters with the new cosmetics. This is sort of a marketing promotional image, which is and they do look slightly different in the finished version of the game. When we come up with the concepts of what we want to add, there's always a chance that things change as we go through testing to aid in aesthetic and character recognition and all kinds of things like that. So it's we're excited. I personally, I think they look super cool and badass. I would love to play with them, but yeah, right now they're pre-order exclusives only to console.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to address while we have the community here, then, Johnny?
I am trying to look through the chat. Quickly, Battle Royale? No, not at this time. Battle Royale games are cool, but it's not anything that we as a team would like to work on. Again, we have other priorities and we want to deliver content that we've kind of already committed to before looking at new content. And I think this is as well something that kind of goes back to this topic of feedback. We are open to suggestions for new content to a game, but it's also important to know that Sandstorm did launch on PC over a year ago. Right now, we're not really looking to add fundamental changes that would drastically change the game. We see time and time again it will crop up questions about will we add a medic class to a game so you can revive players. Our game has been built around when you're dead, and having that kind of mechanic in the game would fundamentally unbalance a lot of things and be very alienating for the community. If people want to do that through community mods, of course, more than happy to do that and be cool to play on. Similarly, people have asked us for to add helicopters that you can fly, add tanks. That again is outside of the scope of our game. At that point, we feel that the game is becoming too different. So feel free to make requests to us, but try and keep it within the scope of what Insurgency is, and think about it as like iterations and improvements to what we have as we refine the game and the core gameplay down, as opposed to huge projects and expansions. For those of you who are asking who the person in the top corner is, that way. I don't know. Aaron is he's a new community associate who has just joined us in the last couple of days. He's going to be joining our team here when it comes to marketing, community, and player support, alongside Dara and Nick to help us be a lot more communicative and proactive on the forums, help
Yeah.
us put out more live streams, more blogs, keep players in the loop, as well as allow us to gather more feedback directly from the community and ensure that this gets passed on to our designers. Uh, did you guys fix the precinct map where bots were stuck or not spawning? This is something that I saw mentioned in our Slack channel a couple of days ago. I believe it is in our bug list. I don't know if it got resolved. We did just put out a hotfix about an hour ago, and I haven't had a chance to read the patch notes yet. So it may have been fixed. If not, our team are aware of it. It is tasked, and we will be getting to that as soon as we can. Um, so that's definitely something there. Uh, what else is in the chat? Will modders be able to change / improve current firefight maps, or is it more viable to make their own maps from scratch? Great question. I believe we do have source files for some of our maps in the game. I believe there's some example content that you can open in the editor and you can tweak and you can recompile to your liking. However, we did not include every single map and every single scenario in the editor download because it is the project files are pretty huge. As anyone who's tried to use the editor will know, uh, the full Unreal editor, which is what we've given people access to, is exactly the same tools that our team use. Does require a lot of space, a lot of RAM, and a pretty high-end machine. We didn't want to make the download super bloated and super big that nobody wanted to download a 100 GB file. So if there are certain maps that you want to reference, I would say uh, post in a modding Discord or a modding section of the Steam forums, and we can definitely bring it up with our level designer and perhaps make those available to people. We do need to be a little bit careful when we give away our exact, our raw content files for the game, in terms of our assets and our maps being stolen or ported into other titles. But we want to be as open as possible with people. Anything else? Previous mapping contest for Insurgency 2014 was amazing. Yes, thank you, Nick, Link. Um, Again, we think they're a great way to drive content, drive engagement, and get people involved in modding tools. Uh, we started out as modders. I got my career starting for modding websites. I believe in the last mapping contest we added either 6 or 8 community maps into the game officially,
Wow.
and that really boosted the number of maps in the original Insurgency. One of the a common bit of feedback that I see is the original Insurgency has more maps than Sandstorm, and that's true in some regard. The original Insurgency I think had 4 years of development from our team, and it also had a lot of community-made content that was put into the game, either through contests or by our developers approaching community members and asking if they would be willing to have their map officially in game, which is a really cool and unique experience, especially for anyone who's starting out in the games industry or who wants to get some experience there. So with modded content coming out, hopefully once people get familiar with the tools and start working on maps, you'll be able to see our official content as well as community content coming out. In terms of maps, we got a new map coming in 1.7. Can't say what it is. Some people may be familiar with it, some maybe not. There's a little clue for you. Um, as well as, of course, night versions of every single map out there. So they'll add a huge amount of new level content for people to play, and community maps as well is hugely important.
And to say one other thing, Dara and I have been working really hard on getting some new mutator combos for some limited time playlists. We've even been potentially talking about new mutators in the future overall. So we are, on the back end trying to come up with new fun things for everybody to interact with.
Absolutely. I see a highlighted message from someone saying, "Hello, how do I play the modded map things with new mod tools? Can't find them when to download it."
Our
So
useless fodder looked like he covered that right after.
okay, perfect. So you go to a mod section. You can browse mod.io in game. Click subscribe. It will automatically download. If you don't want to download it in game because you want to be playing or you want to be doing other things with your computer while it's downloading, you can go to modio.com. You or actually no, mod.io, sorry, and you can download them just as any traditional file, and you can drag and drop them into your Sandstorm folder. However, having them downloaded through the mod.io system ensures that we're continually up to date with the latest version. Once they're downloaded, you can join any community server which has them running. You can also use the console command to open a map as well in local play and other options. All of that information is on the guides somewhere, and we are looking at ways to make local play for community content a little bit more accessible through the UI rather than having to use console commands to open the files. Any update on the optics rework? Fire spawner. I think that depends. So there was an issue with one of the optics in the update. I believe that has now been fixed. But I think this person is probably talking about the toggleable optics that we talked about last year. They are still on our roadmap. They were pushed back until later in the year because we wanted to focus on other areas that were seen as higher priority when we polled the community. We are still looking at doing them. There will, I don't know how much I can say, but there are some optic things being worked on very soon. I
You're
know
getting
they're
dangerously close
tasked up
here.
very dangerously close. They are being worked on by our team. there'll be a bunch of cool things happening there. Some may make it into the 1.7 updates. Some may need more time for development and testing, so maybe in 1.8 or even later. Um, yeah, we're working on them. There's obviously both art, animation, and code considerations with these, as well as balance. If you have toggleable optics, we don't want it to say that every single person is using them because, hey, if you could have two sites, why would you not take it? We want to make sure that there's always a balance and a trade-off, whether that's supply points or any other kind of uh, penalties and bonuses for using these. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, I think that's most of the questions. We've been doing this for coming up to an hour and a half now.
Yes, sir.
Maybe maybe one or two more questions if there's any in the chat. If not, we really appreciate you guys joining us. This live stream was a little different from our usual ones. Obviously, different hosts, different locations, different kind of stream.
We were
Uh, we,
setting up
we
OBS like an hour and a half ago.
we were doing this. This was kind of a last minute thing that we wanted to do, but we felt it was important to take the time to come and speak to you guys, especially ahead of our free week, which again, for those of you who missed it, is starting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Mountain time, and will run for an entire week. You get all of the great content we added in 1.6, as well as um, a double XP event for the whole duration, and 50% off on Steam, which is one of the lowest prices we've ever done on Steam. So I think for now that has everything covered. Again, feel free to join us on our future live streams. There will be one 2 weeks time. We'll be returning to our regular schedule of every
And don't
other
worry,
week.
Mikey and Dara will be back.
Mikey and Dara will be back.
You don't have to look at us again. Don't
You
worry.
don't have to put up with us. However, who knows? We may join on some future streams if you guys enjoyed this. We will be, if we don't see you on a stream, we will of course see you on the forums. You will probably see our Steam names and Twitter names above, so feel free to say hi. We do read a lot of the feedback, even if we may not be able
Yes.
to respond to every single one. We're watching,
So much reading.
we're there,
So much reading.
lurking, reading, and also analyzing, taking notes, taking feedback, trying not to be reactionary, trying to take a measured approach to community feedback and what's in the best interest of the game and of the players. So I think we will leave it there for now and hope to see you soon. Will you be playing with us this evening? Says Gatako. I am
Get,
probably butchering that
guitar?
person's name. Um,
Absolutely.
Probably. I'll probably be playing tonight. It depends how late I end up working. With a free week, there's a lot to get done, so I can imagine it's probably gonna be a late night here and an early morning tomorrow. But if I have some time, I'll absolutely hop on the game. If you do see us in game, we always have a little dev tag next to our name, so you can find out who we are. Unless we decide to turn it off and be sneaky, be
Yeah, I'm gonna
incognito.
turn mine off till I'm a little better at the game.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I get
I'm
a
hiding
lot
that
of
shit for
people
now.
when I play. They see me at the bottom of a scoreboard or really low down, and they complain. They
It
say,
hurts the soul.
"Yeah." They say, "Why do you suck at this game? You literally made it." And uh, working in the games industry doesn't mean you're a pro gamer. So yeah, sometimes we're there public with our dev tags on. Sometimes we're just lurking amongst you. Sometimes I change my name and turn my dev tag off so I can just play the game as a normal player and just kind of watch and listen. So we will hopefully see you soon. Make sure you subscribe to our New World Twitch channel so that you can be notified every time that we do go live, every time we host these Q&As and show off new content to you guys. If you're watching repeat on YouTube, again, make sure you click subscribe. All of our social media information is in the chat. Thank you, Dara, and you can also find it just below this video here. Um, we will see you very soon. So have fun with a free week. Looking forward to hopping in with you and as many people as possible. Looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
Nice to meet you all. I'll see you around.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.